Today we have a really special guest. I'm speaking to somebody who is vice principal at a private school. He is a very busy man. He has a lot of commitments and is involved in a lot of different projects. But one of the biggest ones that we are going to talk about today is the fact that he is also a published author. So I have the great pleasure in welcoming Sarel Carelse.
Good evening, Anne. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lovely to have you, Sarel. You know, for those that don't know, we've had a previous discussion on an audio podcast where we discussed your book. We actually did the discussion in Afrikaans. So for those that can actually speak and understand Afrikaans, that would be a great podcast for them to go and listen to. I'll actually link that one in the description. But the first question that I've got for you is related firstly to that book that we discussed in that podcast, Sarel. That is one that I was so impressed with. I actually felt that is something that should be on the big screen. When I started reading that book of yours, I'm going to name the title in a moment, but when I started reading that book of yours, I literally couldn't put it down. It was just so good. It was so well written, and it was very good for me to improve my Afrikaans as well. And the title of that book is Bloedspook. Would you like to talk a little bit about that book?
Yes, please. Thank you, Anne. It's the first book project that I ever tried out for and that I ever started writing. But you mentioned that it felt as if it was on the big screen, and that was exactly my intention. I'm really inspired by adventure stories and adventure novels and adventure films. So, and also one of my most favorite authors, Michael Crichton, he also stated that when he writes his books, he writes it as if it is on the big screen, as if the action is happening on the big screen. So for me, it was also about verbalizing motion and adventure and danger and all of these things, capturing it in words so that you can let people's imagination run wild without you really seeing the picture. But in an essence, yes, it is to inspire people, to let them think, wow, this is a dangerous situation. How would I react in that situation? And to really feel the fear and the excitement and the danger that the characters are going through. Yeah. So for me, that is my inspiration to really bring our readers or the readers up to an adventure where they feel the excitement, where they feel the danger, and where they can feel they are part of it as if they're going through the same scenarios and the same situations with the characters that they read about in the novel. So for me, that is my inspiration.
Your research on that was just incredible. The reader could see that you knew your subject. It wasn't just a surface level thing. Does this have a history behind it, Sarel? Can you tell us how it came about that you knew so much about the subject that you were writing about?
Yes, science fiction has always been part of my upbringing, science and nature, especially the farm environment. I grew up on, I always grew up on farm environments. My uncle had a farm, my grandfather had a farm. And for me, it was really the way in which I grew up in. It was the area in which I grew up in, and the characters are also very relatable to, to my culture and to the way in which I grew up in small town farm environments, game farms. All of this, everything just made sense to write from a perspective or from a point that you know your subject. But the science fiction element also has always it inspired me, and I was always interested in prehistory and in science, and to think about what is the limits to human ingenuity. And human ingenuity in itself, is it always good, or is there danger in it? And if we as human beings, if we push the boundaries of science, if we push the boundaries, is it always a good thing? Or is there a line that needs to be drawn to say, just because we can do something, should we? And I think it was just also my way of going through what I'm interested in, to see what is the limits to human ingenuity, what is the limits to human imagination, to our imagination, and what are the real world consequences regarding that. So it was just something that I really was interested in. And yes, I think research is always very important. And you need to do your research. When you're writing a novel, you need to be knowledgeable. You need to know what you're writing about so that your reader can also learn something from that. So it's not just about experiencing the novel, but also learning something as well. It's also one way of communicating the things that you feel maybe is important. If you can communicate what is important to you in a novel, then people are exposed to that, and then a message can be cast out into the open, where people really start to think about things that are going on around us, And it was also something that Michael Crichton done. So it's also, I think, part of his legacy as well. He inspired me. So, you pay it forward. You pay it forward.
I identified 100% with what you were saying there. Those values did come through in your writing. No, I thoroughly enjoyed Blutz's work, and I'm going to put the link for that also in the description so that if anybody would like to order it, they would be able to find it there by clicking on the link. Then, Sarel, would you tell us a little bit more, because a lot more of your other work has been published. Will you tell us about that?
Yes, thank you. So I was in a very fortunate position. The publisher asked me if I was not interested in also writing a short story for a compilation of stories that they put together. So I wrote a short story and they were happy with it. And so it was part of the compilation of short stories, detective novels or detective stories. And I was very fortunate to write a short story as well. It was also a challenge to write a short story because I like to take my time. I like to, I don't want to be limited by how you write, but this forces you to write in a certain way, to only write a full story very short. So I was fortunate enough to also have that opportunity. And I think that once you are in that, I don't want to use the word industry, but if you have a foot in the door, it opens up a host of other doors as well. So yes, I'm very thankful for the Lord for also blessing me in this regard. So I can also say that I have another publication in a short story compilation as well. So yes, it's also from the same publisher. It is called Vlees as Metgesel, the book, but it is a compilation of a lot of authors that wrote short stories, and one of the short stories is my own. So I think that is what the publisher is also trying to do, is to broaden the horizons for a whole host of other authors as well, and give them an opportunity to also take part in something greater. So I think that was a fantastic opportunity that the publisher also gave us.
What inspired you to start writing in the first place?
It was always a, feeling that you have something to say, you have a story to tell, you have a message that you want to be sent out there. So I think for me, it was being given the opportunity to broadcast that message. So it wasn't just about writing a story that is entertaining, but it's also a story that can uplift somebody. Maybe you can help somebody that is going through a difficult time, maybe someone that is going through challenges, and through a story, through a characterization, through a novel, you can also lend hope to somebody. You can gift wrap it in an adventure story, you can gift wrap it in an action story, you can gift wrap it in a certain way, but in its essence, it's about giving people hope. That doesn't matter through what circumstances you are going through, it doesn't matter what you are faced with. If the characters in the book can overcome those challenges, then so can you. And I think that is also what partly inspired me to write this work. Yes, it's adventure, yes, it's science fiction, but I always look for deeper meaning. Since I was in high school and we did our work in high school, it was Dalian Mathieu, Kring in 'n Bos, and we did Toerberg, but it wasn't just about the story. There was a deeper meaning behind it. The authors themselves had a deeper message that they wanted to give to the readers, and I think that was something that I also wanted to do. Yes, it is entertaining. Yes, it is escapism, but it's also about helping people and giving people hope. It's not just one person that is going through, it's not just you that's going through something, but somebody maybe has also gone through something similar. They've gone through it, they have overcome, and so can you. And maybe we can help people like that as well.
So, Sarel, when did you actually start writing?
I started writing back in primary school, where we had to write for Afrikaans, and for English we had to write stories. So I always had the problem, my stories were always too long. The teacher complained that my stories were too long. So it went from primary school and went into high school. But it's fairly recently, about 5 years ago, I really started to think maybe I should write a little bit more intensely. Maybe I should take this a little bit more seriously. And ideas just popped in, and yes, I started writing, especially also after I did my degree and my postgraduate degree. You had to do lots of research, you had to do lots of writing, And I think that intensified my writing, and it made me think, but maybe there's something to this. Maybe I can do this a little bit better. I can do it more intensely. So it is actually fairly recently that I really started taking my writing as seriously as I did.
Here's the million-dollar question for you. Sarel, how, in your busy schedule, how do you find time to write?
It's not easy, and it is very challenging, but I think you have to make time. I think that is a cliche to say, but you have to make time. But it is the truth. You do need to make time. You have to make a decision. Am I going to watch a half an hour episode on Netflix, or am I going to sit and write for half an hour? You really have to make a tough decision. Am I going to do this? I'm going to relax and scroll my phone for a couple of minutes, or am I going to sit and am I going to put pen to paper, as it were? It's a choice that you have to make, and it's not easy. It's not just also about being disciplined, because sometimes you are extremely tired and you have so many things to do, but just writing a little bit at a time. It's not about sitting down and writing for 5 hours at a time. Unfortunately, I'm not a career author, although I would like to be, and that is something that I'm working towards. But it's not about writing 5 hours a day. It's about writing 1 page a day. It's about writing 40 minutes a day, half an hour a day. It's just small steps, consistently writing something for an extended period of time until your project is finished, or until you have something substantial. I think, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it piece by piece. So it's not about the big wins, but it's the small wins. Today I've written 1 page. So yes, it's not easy, but you have to make choices. You have to make tough choices. And it's not always easy, but I think it's worth it in the end. So I think it's also like before you're going to work out, you don't want to work out, you don't want to go and lift the weights in the gym, or you don't want to go and run. But once you sit down and you force yourself to do something, then you get into it and you enjoy it and you don't want to stop. But sometimes you need to stop because your attention must be somewhere else. And then it's also difficult to say, okay, I've done what I need to do here and I have to move on to the next thing. So it's not always, that's also part of it. It's also not easy, but I think then you leave something in the tank, and there's also something to look forward to next time. If you only have a certain amount of time during the day, and it's something to look forward to, that you can just make a note and say, tomorrow night, that's my motivation. Now I have something to look forward to. After everything's done, I'm going to spend time in my writing, or tomorrow morning. I know lots of writers have their different times that they write, but it's something that can also then motivate you to go and sit down and write the next day. That is the motivation. I think that is, once again, it's consistency. Not the big wins, but something small for the next day, and lots of small things adds up to something big. So I think that is also something that people also need to keep in mind. You're not a failure if you didn't write today. You're not a failure if you didn't get it right today. We are human beings. We make mistakes, and it's not always easy, but it's the small ones that count up to making something big.
Okay, Sarel, so would you be able to guide us through a basic process, from your own experience, but also from background knowledge that you've gathered on how other people tend to do it? Whatever you can share with us would be very interesting to see what the process is from the inception of an idea for writing a book, right through, to the end where, you've got the work that is published and the marketing and things like that.
Yes, thank you. And yes, I think we are individuals, and writers are also individuals, and you cannot really say what is this person's process versus another person's process. And I think everybody needs to find their own process. But for me, it was about getting the work done. You have the idea. And if you have the idea, then you must write about that idea. If you have the idea, whether that is a romance novel, a science fiction novel, a historic novel, if you have something that you are passionate about and you have something that you want to share with the world, then I think that is your motivation to start writing, to start putting things down, to start putting pen to paper, or to start typing, as it were. The process for everybody, as I said before, may be different. For me, it was about sitting down and writing the story. I know many authors start at the end, some start in the middle. For me, I start at the very beginning. I know more or less how it's going to end, but as you write, the story evolves, the story develops. You add something, you take something away, you see that something is not working, you put it away, or you find new ideas on how the story is going to flow, how you're going to get to that end. So I think it's about really sitting down and just writing and let the natural flow of things happen. It's like a river flowing. You may not always know where the river is going to take you or how you're going to get there. You see that maybe there's something that you didn't think about, and as you're writing, you find, but this is going to be interesting, this will work, this is not working. And I think it's just about sitting down and writing, not just having it in your mind, in your head, but putting it to paper and writing. Once you're finished with your script, that is where the scary part starts. If your script is finished, if your work is finished, and it's right before you are going to send it to the publishers, then you have to start working through it again, making sure your grammar is right, making sure everything is as good as it's going to get. And for many writers, it's at that point of time where they start over, almost completely over. That can be disheartening, but I don't think it should be disheartening for people. Sometimes you need to go back to the drawing board and say, but this is not making sense. And then you have to push through. It's not easy. It's not just writing and boom, voila, something is happening. It can be grueling. And you as an author, you as a storyteller grow with your story. You grow with your characters. You get attached to your characters. And in some cases, you don't want anything to happen to them, but for the story and for the story's purpose, that needs to happen. Also to make it more relevant for people that is also reading the story. So yes, it's about sitting down, it's about completing the story, it's about doing the finishing touches. And once you're ready, it's then to find the right publishing house that's going to help you. Now, I know that there are many publishing methods. I know there's people that they don't always use the traditional publishing, they use self-publishing. I decided to use the traditional publishing sense, and I went through two publishing houses. So I went through two publishing houses. I went to two publishing houses, and I think it's important for our listeners to also know that you are going to get rejected, and you may get rejected. There are many great publishers, many famous publishers, and their stories, their novels have been rejected. My own hero, if I can say it like that, Michael Crichton, his stories got rejected. I know the lady that also wrote the Harry Potter books, her stories also got rejected. And then you must know, don't give up. If the first publishing house rejects you, or the first publisher rejects you, don't give up. If you believe in your story, if you have put in the hard work in your story, don't give up. There's always somebody that's going to give you that chance. I'm very blessed with my publisher that they have given me that chance. They believed in my story, they believed in my potential, and they work with you. They help you, they guide you, they say they can help you throughout the whole publishing process, and they help you with your writing, they help you to grow with your writing. And I think that's also important for you as a writer to find the right publishing house that fits you, that fits your story. So it's a blessing in disguise if your work gets rejected from one publishing house to a next, until you find the one that is going to believe in you and that's going to work with you. And then you have a foot in the door. That opens so many other doors, that opens so many other avenues. So if you are rejected as a new writer, that's going to happen. Many publishing houses may not want to take chance on an unknown writer, and that is understandable. But if your work is good, if you have put in the hard work, if you have rewritten your work, or you have redone your work, you have improved your work, and you submit it again, then you know that this was worth it. All of the hard work was worth it in the end. Rejection, like I said before, may just be a blessing in disguise until you find that right match, that one company, that one publisher that really believes in you and that wants to work with you and is going to help you grow as an author.
That sounds like wonderful advice. And I think that's a wonderful principle to carry over into many aspects of our lives. Being able to see when something doesn't work out, there's usually a reason for it, and it could be a blessing in disguise.
yes, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to work out perfectly. I know part of my research was that many people think they have this book, they have this idea, they're going to publish it, it's going to be made into a movie, it's going to be made into a series, and that's not always the case. And that should not be disheartening. You must know why you write, for whom you are writing, what is the purpose, what do you want to achieve, and also it's about not giving up. Many people, they get the answer no, and no breaks them, and we understand that that can be disheartening, but it's just a motivator. Go back to the drawing board, work hard, improve where you need to improve, and try again until you succeed.
Brilliant. Then, Sarel, in closing, is there anything that you would like to add in way of advice for anybody who is considering starting out as an author, whether, as you've said, a career author, long-term, or just part-time? What advice could you give to someone?
I was very blessed in meeting one of my favorite Afrikaans authors as well. I was at a book signing where I had all 3 of his books in the series that he wrote. I took all 3 of my books to him for him to sign his books, and I told him that I am on the cusp of putting my book, letting my book go into the publishers. I'm polishing the work, and he told me, keep on reading, and keep on writing. So if you feel you have a story to tell, then that means you're good enough. If you feel in your heart that you have a story to tell, if you feel in your heart that you can write, then you must write. Write, and write, read, and read. And through that, you are going to grow. Through that, you're going to get ideas. You're going to find out, how am I going to put my ideas that's in my head onto paper so that other people can experience it. So I take that advice to heart. Never stop reading, never stop writing. If you feel in your heart you have something to say, then do it. It is hard work. It is going to take discipline. Small steps at a time, 1 page at a time. I know an author, Stephen King, said what he does is he writes at least, it doesn't matter what day he is, where he is in the world, or what he is doing, he tries to write at least 5 pages a day. Now, me, myself, I'm not a career author, as I've said before, so that is very challenging. But at least just write a couple of words a day. Start small and work your way up. Don't give up. If you want to do something, go and do it.
Sarel, this was a wonderful interview, and I think it's very rich. I hope that whoever finds it in the future will be greatly inspired. And I hope that we will see your book and the ones that you will write in the future. I hope that we will see them on the big screen, because I really, truly believe that they belong there. So we are wishing you also all the best with your career in the days ahead, and all the writing that you are going to still do. And it will be an absolute treat for anyone that is reading your work. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for sharing these wonderful insights.
Thank you very much, Anne, and also good luck with your channel, your YouTube channel. I know that you are touching hearts and you are reaching out to lots of people. I also wish the Lord's blessing over what you are doing, because I think this is the type of work that people need in this day and age, in this era. This is what we need. So thank you to you as well.
Thank you, Sarel. Thank you very much.